Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. A few days before Yom Kippur, let's get strong in our Torah learning and commitment, and let's start with Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis. Bava Metzia Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis. We are already a few lines into the page. Welcome to everybody here in Avos Shalom, to everybody in Torah Anytime, and in our YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody that was very flexible, and we are okay with after finishing Bava Metzia, starting Kiddushin. I appreciate that. And for now, we're still in Bava Metzia. Hopefully, we'll start Kiddushin. Thank you very, very much. We'll start Kiddushin around Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, or maybe a little bit before. That's my calculation. We're not going to be learning over Sukkot, and I don't think the week between Yom Kippur and Sukkot either. We'll see. Played by ear, played by day by day. You're not here yesterday. Okay, you'll watch my video and explain why. But we're going to start Kiddushin for reasons which I've elaborated on yesterday. I'll talk to you later. As of now, this Shiur's Lilu Nishmas of Imayr Menachem and Akiva Rus Bas Shalom Henia Reisha Bas Elchonon Yitzchok Lofuas Chana Batzima Pnina Chai Bas Gula Rochel Lofuas Etl Bas Lofuas Gabriel Tzvim Karen Lea Bas Tomo Norman Krop Beseder Besoch Shachol Yisrael. We spoke yesterday, and we'll still speak today about not entering your borrower's house to take the collateral. If you lend money to people, you're not allowed to go into their home in order to take the collateral. We're talking here in our case, in our Mishnah, we spoke about a person about a debt that's due date already came. It's been already due date. The time has arrived. The time has came when you have to already pay, and the person did not pay. So now it is the legal thing to do to take a collateral from him. However, this should only be done by who? By BSD Is, not by the person himself, not by the lender, but it should be done through the legal channels of BSD Is. Now, there was a machloikes tanoim. At the end of the day, it was machloikes tanoim, whether shliach BSD Is is allowed to enter the person's house or only stand outside, b'chutz ta'amod, or collateralize him, take something from him when he's walking down the street or wait outside his house until the person brings it outside. And does that apply to shliach BSD Is? Does shliach BSD Is have to wait outside? He's like the policeman. He too cannot have order of court. There's no such thing, and he has to wait outside. Or do we say that shliach BSD Is allowed to go inside and take the item that he chooses? Now, that was yesterday. Today, we're continuing the Brisa. We're in the middle of the Brisa, and now we're talking about what kind of items is the person allowed to take. Says the Brisa, the line starts with the word velo. Yeah, it's about 10 or more, I think, lines from the top of the page. Kufit Gimel Amud Beis Bava Metzia. Velo yemashkenenu. Yep. Velo yemashkenenu dvorim she'oisin ben oichel nefesh. Which means whoever takes the collateral, let's say the shliach BSD Is, is not allowed to take items she'oisin ben oichel nefesh. He's not allowed to take items from the borrower, anything that is necessary for his livelihood, anything that's necessary for making food or his basic parnoso. When we said yesterday, for example, that he takes the plow, and plow is necessary for your livelihood, that is only you take the plow when? By night. You give it back every day. So really, plow by night is not something you really need. People don't plow by night usually, right? And therefore that's allowed. But to take his plow during the day would be forbidden. Even if you give it back every once in a while, won't make a difference. The mere fact you take the plow or the oven or the microwave or anything that you need for your daily living, and you need it for your parnaso or for your daily function, the basic stuff, not allowed to take. Why? Because it says in the Torah, you're not allowed to take the millstone, which back then was like today's oven, like today's mixer, things like that. You're not allowed to take. The noisen, and now we're going to basically talk about misadrin. We're going to explain it soon, but right now let's just read the words. V'noisen mita umatza leoshir. You leave the basic items. For example, for the rich person, you leave him a bed and another bed and a matzah, matzah, matzaim in Hebrew is linen. Matzah in Lashon Mishnah, matzaim are linen. You go in the store in Israel, matzaim are linen. Basically, meaning bed linen, bedwear, yeah? So now, matzah for the rich man, let's say the borrower is a rich person, and he's used to nice linen. Matzah, Rashi says, leved, in other words, it's made out of, nice quality duvet, comforters, whatever you want to call it, good quality. That's what he uses. That's a blanket that he has. So you leave it by him. You let him have two beds. Why two beds? We're going to see soon. It's not his and hers, by the way. It's not. Yeah. And you give him the matzah. And when it comes to the poor person, mita umapatz leoni. And you also leave him, if he's an oni, if he's a poor person and he's used to lower standards, yeah, then you leave him mita v'mita and mapatz. You leave two beds for the oni, for the poor person, and also a mapatz. Mapatz is more like a rag. Yeah, rag. Mapatz is a rag. He's used to sleeping with something much more simple. Or mapatz could be also like a. No, it's not a sim. No. Mapatz is machzelet. Is a rag, or there's another word for it in English. A mat. Thank you. A mat. Oh, in other words, the concept is that you let the person stay with the basic items that he needs. And as far as we're concerned right now, even if, let's say the loan was 10,000 shekels, okay, and 9,000 shekels, you took items worth 9,000, but there's 1,000 shekels worth of items that are necessary for him. His bed, his mapats, the mat, yeah, things like that are worth 1,000. Then you want, as the way we see it now, you won't get paid in full. Yeah, you leave him what he needs, even in the price of actually losing some of the halva. As we're going to see later, the rule in the Torah. It's important to know that this is not some irregular humanistic idea. We learned the concept from another area in halacha called hekdesh. I'd like you and I to together, although in the middle of the brisa, let's read the Rashi umapatz leoni. Rashi is a few lines above where we are in the Gemara. Rashi umaschil umapatz leoni. Says Rashi lefi mashehurgal. It's a long Rashi, longish. Yeah, it's a little bit above where we are. The way he's used to, whatever he's accustomed to, leave him with his normal creature's comforts that he needs. Not too much of comforts, for his basic needs, leave it to him. It says regarding erchin. Erchin is when a person was ma'arich, was makdish, he consecrated things to Beis Hamikdash, and let's say the person consecrated the items in his house. Yeah, he got a little bit too spiritual Erev Yom Kippur. He says, I'm giving all of my things to Beis Hamikdash. Yeah, I think that's the case. L'choira. What does it say over there? If the person is poor, then you have to do something. What's me'er kecha? Which means if the person is poor and he was makdish, not all these items, that would be different. He was makdish, I don't know, $1 million. Was makdish a lot of money to Beis Hamikdash. Comes the gizbar habal mashkeno. Who's the gizbar? That's the collector and the treasurer of Beis Hamikdash. Comes to his house, yeah, and you were mischayev, you committed $1 million. Where is it? The Beis Hamikdash account didn't see the $1 million transfer that you promised, yeah. So you go to his house and you start actually taking stuff from his house because he owes it to Beis Hamikdash. He committed. So what do? She'en yodo maseges, yeah. When the gizbar comes to be mashkenoi and the person does not have the entire $1 million, the unido and basogas yad. In other words, you have to deal with him. You have to assess him and deal with him, treat him according to the ability of his hand. It says, yeah, which means it says he stands in front of the coin. The coin has to assess and see how much he can pay. You see from the Torah, it's not a general, being nice idea. The Torah says regarding erchin that you have to really assess how much he has. And Rashi gives it the punchline, very good. You leave for him. Yeah, you leave him behind. You let him stay with Kedei Chayev, with whatever he needs, and the rest, Hekdesh takes, and you leave him with the rest. And I would not continue now the Rashi, because it goes to other points which we'll see later. Basically, Rashi tells us, we learn Gzera Shova, mach. The word mach, which means poor, applies appears both in Hekdesh, when it says, leave him the basics. Don't, basically don't strip him from everything he has. It's written in the Torah. So too, we apply it where between you and him, a regular two people, Reuben and Shimon, the Loiv and the Malveh, also the Malveh should leave the Loiv the basics that he has, and don't just strip him from everything that he has, from his bed and from his linen, from the basic things. Now continues the brisa. That's the basic idea. Continues the brisa. Loi. Now it says in the Torah, you leave him something for him. It says Hachyehu. You leave for him the stuff that he needs. This is something very hard to understand, but the brisa says you don't leave his wife's beds and his sons and daughters. In other words, you can take the furniture of Bnei Abayis, but you can't take his own. That's what it sounds like. I have to check it in the fortune. Why is that? But the pshat is the Torah says the poor person himself, you leave him what he needs, but you do take the basic stuff from his family. This tzorich yun, we have to understand why is that. But by the cold letter of the law, the reason is it says because the words of Achyehu in the Torah are in singular. You leave him what he needs, but his Bnei Bayis, in other words, he has more stuff, more beds and more whatever they need for Bnei Bayis, for his family, that you do take. So it sounds like. Now let's continue the brisa. Just like your mesader. What's mesader? Mesader is to tidy. Mesader, says Rashi here, has two reasons. There are two reasons why we use the Lashon mesader in order to express leaving him what he needs. Mesader either means to say like lesader, like lashum, to assess how much he needs, what's called basic, what's not called basic, how much is worth, how much is the whole thing worth anyway. And misadrin could be like misardin, sarid. What's sarid? Leftover. Sarid upolit, right? It says about Bashon or the other one, about either Oig Melech Bashon or about Yobal or Sichon, lo isher lo sarid upolit. We did not leave them one sarid. Sarid is like leftover, sridim, survivor, right? In this case, like sarid me'ashra. So basically, you don't leave him behind. You do leave him behind a siddur. Just like you leave behind the basics for the Baal Choiv, so too you leave it for the people be'erchin that designated, consecrated to the Beis Hamikdash. Correct the Gemara. What are you talking about? What? What did you just say? Just like you do to the Oni, you also do it to the people who were Makdish in Beis Hamikdash. The other way around. Klape Elaya. Klape means turn it around. Wrong. Klape Elaya means A goes to 1 and B goes to 2. You mixed it. Wrong. Why? Because Ikar Sidu Be'erchin Ksiv, the source of Sidu, the source, as I just read to you in Rashi, black and white, the source of the idea that you leave the person, poor or rich, you leave him the basics that he needs, and you don't just take everything, you don't just rake out everything from his house, and you leave him the basics, is written in Erchin, and from Erchin, you're supposed to learn to us, to our regular Choshen Mishpat business between Reuven and Shimon. So you're mixing things up. Okay, says the Gemara. Oh, you're right, says the Gemara. Ela, Ema. You must say, your version of the Brisa says wrong. Must be the Brisa says the other way around. Very nice. Just like you, Mesader, just like you leave behind the basics when it comes to Erchin, so too, you leave behind the basics in the Baal Choiv. Yeah, we learn from Micha, Mach, this poor man to that poor man. Yeah, they don't have to be poor, by the way. Yeah, let's say the rich person is rich enough, and whatever, he borrowed, I don't know, 3 million, whatever. Yeah, and at home he only has 2.5 million. Yeah, that could also be, right? He's still leaving behind the basics of the bed and the comforters that he needs and his basic needs. Now, that was the end of the brisa. There's the end of the brisa. I do have to do my homework and understand about this business with the wife and children, but that's what it sounds like. You don't take his bed, but you take his wives and children, their beds that belongs to him, to the borrower, that you take. Which is really hard to understand, but this is what we're saying right now. So the end of brisa is now. Now the Gemara is going to, speak out and elaborate on the brisa. Omar Mar is an anonymous Amoira. Says the Amoira, Noisen mita umita umatza leoshir. What do you leave behind? You leave behind a bed and another bed and the nice linen, to the oshir, to the rich man. And when it comes to the poor man, mita umita umapatz leoni. 2 beds for the oni plus a mapat, which is a mat. Yeah, that's a word, which is something to sit on or something like very simple, coarse kind of material. Whatever the oni is used to, you leave for him. Preg the Gemara, Leman. What's the business with two beds? Furniture store. What's the business here that you're talking here about two beds? Why two beds? If you want to tell me, of course, two beds. Well, it's a bedroom. His bed, her bed, and the children's beds also. Maybe you leave one bed for his wife and children. They're small. Maybe they sleep together. Yeah. You can't say that. That's not the second bed. It's not what it's about. Amarta, because you told me in the Brisa, loy, right? We said you only leave his basic stuff, but not the bed of his wife and kids, right? That's their own personal things. You don't leave that for them. You take it away. Ela, so must be something else. Idi ve'idi ledidei. First wide line, by the way. Idi ve'idi. What's idi ve'idi? This and that, this bed and that bed, both are his. Why does he need two beds? Tati lamali. We thought we're talking about basics. If it's such a basic thing, why does the guy need two beds? It's so fat. Excuse my language. Yeah. Why does he need two beds? Yeah. Answers Gemara, because if you remember back then, what was the function of beds? What? Besides like lying down when they ate. What we try to do in the traditional Seder night, yeah? Familiar with the traditional Seder night? So what do we do then? We try to lean, not always comfortably. But back then, every rich person or even average person was a ben choirin would lean like on a divan, you know? That's how they would eat. They would not eat sitting down. It always makes me laugh whenever you see children's books, you know, they try to describe the times of Torah and Chazal, everyone's seated at the table. It's wrong. Now, Lakamsa Bar Kamsa, you always see this story with all the Rabbanim, Shtiyot. They didn't sit with the table. There's no such idea of sitting at a table and chair. If you're rich, you had a bed, and if you're poor, you'd sit on the floor in the mapats. Yeah, sitting down with the table and chair is the Western idea that was introduced later into at least Jewish history. Also, the Roman emperors, they would also lie on when they ate. Yeah, in any event, so he needs two beds. One bed to eat on, the zag alo, and one bed is zag. Zag is to lie down. Yeah, mazginan. Mazginan is written in many places in Kiddushin, in Shabbos. Yeah, mazginan is how the way like you sit, you lie down. Ah, so very good. Now let me ask you a question. If I want to be really miserly and meikar adin, midas adin, why does it need two beds? To sleep on and to eat on. Eat and sleep in the same bed. Ha. Right? In other words, you know, eat, finish eating, and it's a nice bed. Sit, eat there, sleep there, fall asleep on the bed. Say Krishma. Why do you need both? I'm the mean guy from the rich. Okay. There's a different, not hygienic. You're saying as if they cared so much about hygiene back then. No, no. But yeah, you eat like this. No, no, dude. Okay, I hear the Gemara gives a different reason. Interesting ideas. I kind of hear you, but apparently the Gemara gives a different reason. Yeah, says the Gemara to Shmuel. We follow the opinion of Shmuel. Shmuel, which was obviously very Helig Amoira, also was a doctor in his free time. Yeah, Shmuel was a doctor. It says a few places that Shmuel was a doctor. The Omar Shmuel says Shmuel. Kol mili yadana asvatayu. I know the asvata, the asuta. I know the medication, the remedy for any ailment. Wow. For any disease, I know how to heal any ailment, any sickness. Except for these three. Three things are so bad if people do them that, you know, if they come to my clinic, no hope for them. What are those three amazingly bad things health-wise? What you should always avoid at any cost. And if you do them, then don't go to Shmuel. Man de ochil ahina merira ali barikona. We all know that ahina are dates. Do not eat bitter dates on an empty stomach. Empty heart over here means empty stomach. Empty stomach, first thing in the morning, don't have bitter dates for your breakfast. Yeah, if you're hungry, you have to stop that from now on. That's it. No bitter dates from now on for your breakfast. We'll all have to change our lifestyles because it's very, very unhealthy. I actually have dates for my breakfast sometimes, but not bitter ones. Second, uman de osar mitna de kitna retiva achartei. What's mitna? Mitna is a small rope, a string. Appears in Shabbos a few times. The person who takes a mitna de kitna retiva. You take a cotton or flax. Kitna could be either, and you have like a thread of wet flax, and you girdle yourself with it, achartze, on your hips. Basically, you that's like your under whatever, you're straight on your flesh, on your body. You wear a wet kind of belt made out of pishtan, of cotton. That's very, very unhealthy, apparently. I don't know why, but that's what Shmuel says. So we're not going to do that from now on. Gets maybe tight, maybe eats into his flesh. I don't know. I trust Shmuel, but that's it. That's it. We're not going to do that anymore. And the third one, uman de ochil nahama. That's the third one, and that does apply today, by the way. I mean, they all apply today, just not so common. Uman de achil nahama. What's nahama? Bread. Very good. One who eats bread. Veloy masgi arboga midi. In other words, when you eat bread and you don't walk after you eat the bread, at least for Amos, that's very, very bad. In other words, you have to walk off the food. Yeah, you have a big meal, you have bread. Bread is heavy, it's carbs, it's heavy for you. So you have to eat, you have to walk a little bit, and therefore it's extremely unhealthy to eat, bench, and just fall asleep. It can actually be very tempting. But Rashi says that's exactly what you shouldn't do. So because the person has to have two beds, one at least daladamas away from the other, you finish eating, don't be lazy and just fall asleep there, right? Could be it's designed a bit different, but how many times people fall asleep on couches or on lazy boy on a recliner? Many times. That's it. So don't be lazy and just stay in bed and eat and then sleep right away. Okay, you bench, you say Krishma, but you still stay, you just fall asleep in the same place. It's very unhealthy. That's why, because we care about his basic health, and that's why we leave the poor person or the rich person, we leave them two beds. The two beds should be 4 amas apart, one for eating, one for sleeping, and you should walk the distance between them because that is essential for your health. Yes, questions, and then continue. I haven't yet studied well enough the issue of his bed and her bed. It's true that if she has a personal item bought from her own money, which does exist in halacha, as opposed to what people think, then you're right. She doesn't owe the money. If the bed was bought by him and belongs to him, but she uses it, then they can take it because Lamais it belongs to him. That's a very important point to mention. Ishteki Gufa is for mitzvahs like Chanukah. It's not for money. Money is a different story. There are 10 exceptions to the rule. I counted 10 exceptions to the rule of Mashikonta Yishakona Baila. Yeah, if people tell you a Jewish woman cannot own anything once she's married, it's shtuyot. I'm not a feminist. I just read the Gemara and Ksubas. There are many, many exceptions to that rule. Many. But Ellen is right. If it's her bed that belongs to her, she bought from her own money, then enochinami, then of course the Baal Chov won't take it because it's out of the equation. We're talking about her bed that belongs to her husband, but she sleeps on it. Then we take it. Right. Good. Thank you. That's a very important point, and I appreciate you pointing it out. It is recorded. Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So now let's continue into the nitty-gritty, into the real business, the money. Tani Tana Kameder of Nachman. Tani Tana Kameder of Nachman, you have to understand, whenever we say Tani Tana Kamei means what? Is there as an Amoira? Some Amorim, their professional, their area of expertise was to quote brises. Yeah? In other words, they would stand in front of other Amorim, and they would be big bekim in brises. Yeah, they would know, they would teach brises to other Amorim. That mysterious, anonymous Amoira, that Tana is teaching a brisa to Rav Nachman. What does the brisa say? Our stuff. Okay, we know that. Just like in Erchin, you leave the basics to the one who was Makdish, so too, you Mesader, you leave the minimum, whatever that means, yeah, to the Baal Choiv. Okay, it's a brisa that says, Omer Le, now Rav Nachman is asking a question. Ashta, and soon they will bring back memories from yesterday from the Mishnah. Ashta, something doesn't make sense. Now, Spunim is the Bdinan lay, Siduim is the Bdinan lay. I thought you say that at some point you sell the mashcoin. You sell the mashcoin and keep all the money. So if you sell the mashcoin, and Rav Nachman assumes at this point you sell, let's say your debt is 10,000 shekels, and what? You took stuff from his house worth 10,000 shekels. And one of the items mentioned in the Mishnah, by the way, remember, was a pillow. A pillow is very basic, right? Sleeping without a pillow, I do it once a year, Tisha B'Av, it's crazy. So what do we say? We say that you sell the pillow. Now you're telling me, Mistadrin and Lay, we leave it behind? No. You don't leave it behind. The Mishnah says that after 30 days, the collateral is in my hands. Let's say I'm lucky enough to have what? Both. Let's say I have the pillow in my hand. Pillow is basics, right? And you're telling me, and I can sell the pillow, and you tell me I leave it behind. I don't leave it behind. I sell it. Toisus even points out even stronger. Toisus says misadrin and lay means basic things like you leave him enough money. This is important for us to know. Misadrin and lay is not just the basic items, the mixer, the food processor. Let's say he has money in the account. He has money in the account, and that money is just enough for what he needs to live for the next 12 months. Let's say to buy clothes for 12 months. Look at Tosfos. Tosfos says here, yeah. Tosfos says, Ananis aderlo liknos ksus l'tzoch shneim asar chodesh. In other words, you leave him enough cash to live for 12 months. Mapitom. You are telling me that here you're telling me Mesadrin. You leave him the pillow, you leave him the basics, 2 beds, to eat, to sleep. You leave him enough cash in order to buy clothes for the next 12 months. Is that true? No. In my Mishnah, it says you sell. And Rav Nachman understands that selling means selling everything I have, including the pillow, which is basic, and that could be his one pillow. You sell it. You don't leave it by him. What are you talking about? Yeah. Frag the Gemara, Rav Nachman, who told you that? Is that true that you sell the items, the collateral that you have in your hands? Guys, that's good chazor now for the Mishnah, on the Mishnah. Vatnan, we learned in our very own Mishnah yesterday, Machzir sakar b'layla, v'samachreisha b'yoim. It says that until the person dies, every day and every night, it's a big headache. Every day you have to give him back the pillow by night, so he should sleep on it by night. And the machreisha, the plow, you give it back by day. And you don't sell it after 30 days. Who said you sell it after 30 days? Rav Shimon Gamliel. Yeah. So according to Tanakama, which is the mainstream opinion of the majority, no, you don't sell. No, you don't. Until the person is dead, you always keep back and forth, and you always make sure that he has his nice little pillow to sleep on. And says the Gemara, Tana, this anonymous Amora that quoted the Brisa, Rav Shimon Gamliel Tanakamei. Very good, very good. He followed the opinion of Shimon Gamliel. In other words, that anonymous Amora that quoted the Brisa to Rav Nachman was a Rashbag follower. And V'achi Kamerle. So now it makes sense that Rav Nachman is honestly surprised. Ashtal Rashbag's Bunim Zabdinale, according to Shimon Gamliel, you sell the whole thing, you sell whatever you have, even a pillow is mentioned in the Mishnah. Sidur Misadrin Anle. And now you're telling me, no, you live in the pillow, live in beds, live in 12 months of livelihood. What's going on here? The Tanan, we said in the Mishnah. Rashbag Omer, very good, we're now repeating the Mishnah. Rashbag says outright, Afle atzmoi eino machzir. What do you mean, Afle atzmoi eino machzir? Meaning what? The Nakama said that when do you stay with a nice pillow forever, you the Malve? When he shuts his eyes forever, not for the night. And the children cannot claim back the pillow. Look, the children's game, if I have the ball in my court, the ball is mine. Meaning, if he died and I'm lucky enough to have the pillow in my possession when he's dead, sorry, then it's by me. There's no chiyuv to give back the mashkun to the children. They don't owe me, but I don't owe them either. It works both ways, right? And mimela, that's the nakama. But until he's dead, it's a ping pong every night. They have to give back the pillow. But Rab Shbag says, even he himself, he could live for 120 till 120. I don't give it back to him forever, every night, every night, every night. Ela ad shloshim yoim. The party comes to an end, which means, let's say the collateral was taken on Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan. During the entire Cheshvan, every night they give back the pillow. Rosh Chodesh Kislev, payday, mayday, Bikan va'elech moichon bebezdin. Oh, moichon bebezdin. Which means what? After 30 days, you sell the pillow. So you sell the basics, so you don't leave it to him. Make up your mind. Do you sell it? Yeah, or do you leave it by him? Can't be both together. So that's a big question on this Samara, the quarter of the Brisa. And as we know, Brisas are always a bit fragile. The Brisa is not as, strong as, not iron strong as a Mishnah. Maybe a Brisa is wrong. Maybe you're hearing the wrong kind of Brisa, I'm sorry to tell you. So we're trying to make this Brisa work, yeah? And it's a question, do you do Mesadrin or do you sell it, the basics? Question is clear. Frag the Gemara on Rav Nachman, wait a minute, there's a solution. Why is it an all or nothing thing? Yeah, I have a good solution. Umimai, how do you know the Chika Omer Rashbag Zabuni When Rashbag says you sell it, after 30 days, you sell it. Legamri koma. How do you know that it means you sell the entire thing, the entire pillow? Soon you'll understand what I mean. Dilma, maybe achi koma. There's a middle way. Ad shloshim yom hada lebeini. Up until 30 days, we have 30 days of mercy, period of mercy. The what? I took your pillow. I was nice. Didn't go to your house. Shlich Beis approach respectfully. Yes, this pillow I can take. It's basics. It's not basics by day. You don't sleep by day, only by night. So every night we'll give it back to you. Be'ene, as it is. You give back the physical pillow every night. The guy's going to sleep, and everyone's very nice here. Mikan v'helach, mihadar lei. Now, from after 30 days, you give back to him the change, meaning lemay dechazile. For what's suitable for him, you give it back to him. Soon I'll explain very simply what it means. Okay, let's say that poor guy or rich guy, whoever guy, you know how his pillow looks like? His pillow is designed in Italy and made in France. Actually, 100 years ago, it's a piece of antique and it's hand embroidered and it's personally designed and custom made. And that nice pillow that he sleeps on by night, you know, the one pillow that he has is one pillow, but that one pillow is worth $20,000. That's nice. And the debt is what? The debt is whichever amount the debt is. Yeah, the debt is another amount, whatever. You sell the pillow of what? Of 20,000, right? Let's say your debt is what? Is 5,000. 5,000 I take, and instead of that, I give him back a change of 15,000. That's all. So that's very good. So I leave him with a basic. I buy him a pillow that's, you know, only $1,000, whatever, or a pillow 50 shekels. I buy him a regular pillow, right? And all the rest, all the change, all the difference, I keep for myself for my debt, however much the debt is. That actually does make a difference. Maybe I lose, whatever, maybe I won't. That's a very simple solution. When we say you sell the item, how do you know you sell the item and you keep everything for yourself? Let's make it actually straight. Let's say the debt is 20,000 and his very, very fancy pillow is 20,000, okay? Let's start this way. 30 days, back forth, back forth. Comes the 30th day, we say, I'm sorry, mister, there's a limit for everything. Party's over, game is over. We'll sell your pillow for what? For 20,000. Instead of me keeping $20,000 cash, which I'd like to, which I deserve, will be very nice and humanistic from you because of micha me'erchin, and we'll leave you, let's say a good pillow costs, let's say $1,000, let's say, to make it nice, yeah? $1,000 I'll buy you, or I'll leave you $1,000 to buy another pillow, so you keep your basics. So therefore, a sadrin, and you keep that, and the other 19,000 I'll keep for myself and lose a bit of the debt, which means they coexist. How nice, peace and coexistence, shalom. In other words, what? Very nice. We can sell and misader at the same time. We sold the item, right? But instead of me raking in everything I deserve, and I deserve every penny, because of the nice humanistic idea of misadrin, we'll buy with that another simple pillow for you, and that you'll stay with that for life. Very good. Why can't you say that? So why are you telling me something which is, why are you attacking the Brisa? The Brisa of Rashbag and the Mishnah of Rashbag can coexist very nicely. You sell and you're misader, right? With a change. Makes a lot of sense. Break the Gemara, that could be very, very nice. However, Isal Kadaitach Isle Rashbag Hai Svoro, if you think, excuse me, if you think Isle Rashbag Hai Svoro, if you think the Rashbag believes in that concept, which is a good concept, what's Rashbag basically telling us? What's Rav Nachman suggesting? Different standards. Lower your standard, mister. You don't have to sleep on a $20,000 pillow, the fancy one from France and Italy. Sleep on a normal pillow. The difference, right, we'll pay for, right? Okay? If you use that svara, which is a good svara, there is a big problem. Why? Lei kamidi deloy chazilei. Nothing in the world is not considered suitable for the person, which means, as we're going to see soon, Rashbag is one of the four Tanoim that introduced a very interesting hashkafic and halachic idea of all Bnei Israel are royals. We're the children of Bnei Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. We're royal people, and therefore, if a Jewish person, says Rashi, got used to, is accustomed to, is used to fancy lifestyle, we're supposed to maintain that as if that's the basics. If a person all his life is used to, I don't know, some people think air-conditioned room is a luxury. Let's say crazy, yeah, but that's sometimes people say, yeah. Okay. So now, 1 second. Basically, if a Ben Israel is used to sleeping on that fancy pillow, for him that's basic. You may agree, and Tanakama may disagree, but Rashbag, that's what he thinks. That's the problem. And would be talking not according to Rashbag. It's an excellent solution. There's fancy, there's above standard, and the standard. Sell the fancy thing. He has a fancy table. Very fancy mahogany designer table. He's used to all his life. He's emotionally attached to it. I'm not making fun, yeah? So now, I would say, and you would say, okay, I'm sorry, you owe me money. Sell your fancy mahogany. Go to IKEA, much cheaper and much whatever. Yeah, it's nice. Buy an IKEA table, and that's nice and functional. Yeah, and pay me 80% of the debt. That's a very nice idea. Rashbag doesn't believe in it because Rashbag says if you're Ben Melech and you're used to high standards, for you those high standards are the basics. There is no high level and basic level according to Rashbag, and that's why we're in trouble. And that's why Rav Nachman was not safe with this price. The last session of questions for today is now. Okay, this will be explains the Gemara. Domar Abaye. Abaye, you should know, is an Amoira. Many times he collects different opinions and he groups them together. And from all over Shas, he says this Tana and the other Tana and the other Tana, they all follow the same school of thought. Says Abaye, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, Kulu Svir Alahu, they all believe in the same concept, all expressed in different places in Shas, in different applications, but they all believe in the concept of Kol Yisrael Bnei Melochim Hen. They believe the Bnei Yisrael are Bnei Melochim. It's all very nice to say that in Ashkofa, but those four Tanoim actually apply the halacha. What does it mean that we're all royal people? Sounds nice. So, Rashbag, what does Rashbag say? The Tanan, Bat Muktzeh. Let me ask you a question. Shabbos, raw chicken, a quiz in halacha. You have raw chicken in your freezer. Muktzeh, not muktzeh? It is muktzeh, absolutely, because last time I checked, I know there's very interesting fashions of food nowadays, culinary fashion, sushi and all that, and ceviche. But Lamaisa, last time I checked, most Western people don't eat raw chicken, not in Venezuela, right? And therefore, it's muktzeh. The only way to get to the chicken is to cook it, fry it, whatever, stew it, whatever you want to do. And therefore, the chicken is muktzeh. Oh, very nice. What about other raw foods? Many raw foods are muktzeh, because if you can only eat them cooked, right, or processed, if they're not cooked, and you can't cook and process on Shabbos, now leave the Yom Tov alone, please, thank you. So now things that are raw are muktzeh, unless it's raw, I don't know, egg is a question, also muktzeh, but maybe whatever. Detnan, lo yesaluf, v'lo yesachardal, luf is a kind of hard, I don't know if it's today's luf, but luf back then was a kind of legume that you have to cook hard. V'lo yesachardal, mustard, not the mustard that you squeeze at your supper table. The chardal, the mustard seeds, mustard seeds, nobody eats them as they are. You have to process them. Therefore, they're muktzeh. It's uncooked raw food. Muktzeh. Rashbag comes Rashbag and says, no, Rashbag matir be'luf. Rashbag says, no, luf is okay. Luf is not muktzeh. Why? Because ravens eat it. The ravens, orev is a raven, crow. Crow. A crow and a raven are similar, no? Don't start the whole thing, but the kids are those crow.
Raven is a bigger version.
Okay, the kids, orev is one of those. And because ravens may eat luf, they like luf, that's their favorite food, that's why it's not muktzeh. Hashem yazo, ma kesher. I don't have, you have ravens as your pet? No, but we all know, only English people here know who has ravens. Where can you find ravens? In the Tower of London. In the Tower of London, says Rashi and the Gemara in Shabbos, the rich people, the people of noblesse, of nobility, they would own Orvim. Their favorite pet would be like in England today, they would own ravens as that would be the snobbish thing. Yeah, you don't buy your raven yet? I have my raven yet. In other words, the guy is a kollel guy that basically has food on the table. So Hashem would explain to me, why is the luf not muktzeh by him? He doesn't own ravens, right? So for him, it should be muktzeh, because he has no ravens in the air. He doesn't even dream of buying one. No, says Rashbag, all of Bnei Yisrael are Bnei Melochim. Because potentially every Yid is royal, it's not something that doesn't befit him. Even the poorest person in Israel, in Am Yisrael, because potentially inside of him is a royal person, Therefore, la halacha, he should behave like a royal, and therefore he should act as if he has ravens, even though he doesn't. Because be'etzem, it befits him, it suits him. It's not like, something funny. It's not something that doesn't fit his standards conception. Tanakama disagrees. Tanakama is being practical. But Shmak says, no, all of us are royals. Rabbi Shimon. Now, Rabbi Shimon also regarding Shabbos, Ditnan. Where did Rabbi Shimon apply that concept? Ditnan. It says in the Mishnah, B'nei Melochim sachin shemen vered al gabi mekosen b'Shabbos. Another halachic question. Are you allowed to take medication on Shabbos? No sakon, no regular stam. You feel a bit itchy on Shabbos. You're allowed to take medications? No, that's right, and we know why. What about if the medication doesn't look like a medication? Let's say the doctor told you, that you drink Coke, although it's very unhealthy because you have upset stomach. Some people say Coke is good for that. Originally, Coke was a medication, by the way. You have diarrhea. The doctor told you have Coke. Are you allowed to drink Coke on Shabbos? Yes. Why? Because it's normal. It doesn't look like a medication. It's called Michael Brin. The Gemara already says that, not about Coke. Yeah. So if something doesn't feel like medication, is not exclusively medication, medicinal, something normal people drink, but for you eat or drink or smear it for health reasons, that's okay, because it's not labeled as a medication. Oh, now are you allowed to smear oil, not oil that's a cream, oil that's very, very runny? The oil is very runny, no issue of mimareach. Says the Mishnah, B'nei Melochim sochin shemet vered al gabei mekosen b'Shabbos. If you're a royal, a ben melech, you're a very choshev guy, you're allowed to smear shemen vered, rose oil, whatever that is. Rose oil is very fancy and choshev, and it's good for the lo aleinu, the makkah. Let's say he has some kind of wound, he's allowed to smear it over here. Aye, refuah? No, it's not refuah. Sheken darken osuch b'chol. They do it all the time. They do it stuff for, the feel good. For them, like drinking Coke is not necessarily medication, so too for them, although now they smear it on the makkah, because they smear it otherwise normally too, right? It's very fancy and very expensive, but for them, that's normal. You and I would only get shemen vered as a medication once in a while. So expensive, what don't you do for your health? But for the Ben Melech, they does it all the time, not for medicinal reasons. And that's why it's okay for them to smear it even on Shabbos. Yeah, just like to drink Coke is okay because it's not exclusively medicinal. But only the rich people, not the poor ones. You and I, not poor. We're regular people. We don't have shemen vered all the time, so we're not allowed to smear it on the makkah because for us, it's only used in a medicine cupboard once in a while. Says Rab Shimon Oimer, Kol Yisrael b'nei melochim hen. Rab Shimon says no. Rab Shimon says no. I view everybody in Klal Yisrael, including the Oni Shabanim, the poorest person, I view him as a Ben Melech, and therefore he may smear the very, very fancy oil on his makkah, on his wound on Shabbos, if he has it at home or he borrowed from the rich guy, because conceptually he's really, part of noblesse. That's why. Now, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, the last two, the Tanya, what do they say? This is very similar to our case, actually. Let's say a person owes someone, not Hekdesh, Reuven owes Shimon, regular case. Yeah, somebody owes his friend 1,000 zuz, not science fiction. Zuz is a lot of money, 1,000 zuz. And he's wearing a suit, you won't believe it, but 100 times 100, that's 10,000, right? Yeah, 100 times 100. Oh, so he wears a suit worth 10,000. He owes, that's very, very logical. Let's say somebody owes his friend 1,000 shekels, okay? And he wears a suit worth 10,000. They exist for sure, even more. He wears a designer suit from Europe, 10,000 shekels, and he owes 1,000 shekels. And he says, "Oh no, what? That's my suit that I wear. Well, how can I pay you? I don't have cash. The only thing I have is the 10,000 shekel suit. I'm not gonna undress and give it to you." Says Tanakama, mafshitin oiso mimenu. We undress him, meaning we make him sell the 10,000 shekel suit. And we tell him, "We're so sorry. You'll now wear a different itztala worth how much? Instead of 100,000 or 10,000, 10,000, sell the 10,000, 1,000 give your friend, and buy another suit of 9,000 or less, Now that what we're suggesting before, pay with the difference. Sell the fancy thing, give the cash the way you owe, and buy yourself a simpler suit. I'm sorry. Live by your standards, V'tana mishum Rabbi Shmuel. Both Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel say the same thing. The whole of Bnei Israel are suitable are matim. They all live conceptually, yeah, by principle, in principle, they all really befit the suit, excuse the pun, a suit of 10,000 shekels suits everyone from Klal Yisrael. So even though he's a poor person and he happens to have the 10,000, you don't undress him, keep him with what he has. Rashi gives us a very good idea, especially because he's used to it already. So you don't lower his standard, even though it's funny that this guy barely has what to eat, but he's wearing a 10,000 shekel suit, you keep him with that. So now, not everyone agrees to that, but Rashbag is one of that group. So again, let's summarize the question. All we did now, all this journey through Shas, proved us one thing. Rashbag belongs to the Bnei Melochim group that says what? Whatever the person is used to, or even potentially used to, you don't lower his standard, and therefore the Taina of Rav Nachman is a good Taina. How can you tell me, according to Rashbag, yeah, you don't have that middle of the road solution of selling and misadrin? No, you can't say sell the fancy pillow and give him a simple pillow, and the rest I will take the Baal Chov. You don't do that, because according to him, the fancy pillow is a Ben Melech. He's a Ben Melech, even though he's a garbage cleaner. Yeah, so therefore, there's no such solution. In the Brisa, Rav Nachman has his doubts about it. Now continues the Gemara. Oh, Mitzvah Hashem finished the Amud. Ulmai desalken and daitin mi kore the yoivle mai de chozile umizabrin and mai de loy chozile. Oh, now I frag the Gemara like this. According to your original idea, which we rejected, Rav Nachman so far is winning. According to your original idea, that what do? We sell what he doesn't need. We sell the fancy, right? And what do? We leave him with a simple, and the difference, the cash made, the difference cash goes to the lender, right? That's a nice solution, which could be very nice, but not with Rashbag. But according to that Havamina, even your original thought, you have to explain what you originally thought. Bishla makar b'kesed. There are two items mentioned in the Mishnah: kar, a pillow, and a plow. In English, it works very well. Pillow and plow. Yeah. Bishla makar b'kesed chazile de beini beini. Kar b'kesed is just explained to you in a very picturesque way. There is beini. There is a difference. There's a very fancy, super comfortable pillow, and there's a very simple one. So sell the fancy, buy himself a simple, functional, good one, and the difference make for yourself. That I understand. But machresha, a plow is a plow. A plow is there's no plow from gold. A plow is a regular thing. There is plows today. We have many different standards in everything, even in a nail clipper. But I'm saying regularly, machresha is always basic. So Rashbag says to sell the machresha, which means selling the basics. There's no cheaper machresha. Answers the Gemara, Omer Baraba, machresha de kaspa. Machresha made out of silver, which is not for the field. Machresha de kaspa, I saw that explains machresha de kaspa. One of the Meforshim explains it's some item for, it's a kitchen utensil. It's some nice thing for the house, like a fork, yeah, like a big fork made out of silver, which is nice and fancy. Sell the fancy silver one and get yourself a regular one from Ikea, from regular iron, whatever. Maskif Rav Chana, people, you should now be happy. Now your question is coming to the Gemara. Rav Chago, attacks the Lemalei Lav Alai Karomis. The Malve should be frustrated, or is allowed to be frustrated, and should approach who? Mr. Borrower, and say, Lav Alai Karomis. I don't have to be mefarnes you. Chutzpan. I lent you 10,000, yeah? Then even that solution of what? Of selling the 10,000 shekel pillow and 9,000 shekels I'll take to myself. I'm still losing 1,000 shekel for the new pillow. Why should I lose? Am I supposed to be your gemach? Am I supposed to be mefarnes? I gave you already what? I gave you a loan. Say thank you. Didn't pay on time. Omer la Abaye, Omer la Abaye, Ibra, yes, live with it. Be'emes, alei karami, yes. Is mechuyev to be mefarnes the poor person who doesn't have another pillow. Yeah, why? Mishum shenemar velecho tiye tzedoko. Wow. Rashi, alei rami, this is good for Elul, for Tishrei. Alei rami, shielo tzedoko. Yeah, that is a tzedoko mechuyev to do. People think tzedoko is like a nice option. You do, you give, you don't give. People promise tzedoko, they don't keep to the promises. It's not allowed. It's mamash terrible isra. She'akosav hitil all of lasos letzedoko lehalach lefonov. Yeah. In other words, the pasuk told you have to do tzedakah. You have to actually give charity, not always to the person you like. Usually you give the charity where you like, right? The organization you like, the color you like, the person you like. Over here, no, this is not may not be your preferred tzedakah, but the pasuk velechot tzedakah is written in that context of giving him back the pillow. So when you took the fancy pillow, which is not the solution according to Rashbag, by the way, according to Tanakama, by the way, that works. Let's just summarize here. If you're not Rashbag and you don't think everyone is Ben Melochim, right? Then Lichor, it could be a good solution. Now, Tanakama didn't say that. Tanakama says you give back the pillow back and forth all the time. But conceptually, according to Tanakama, Lichor, to give back the difference would be a good idea. They just don't say you do that, and I have to check in halacha, really, what would be the halacha lemaisa? Rashbag says, no, you live with a high standard, and whoever holds of the opinion that you sell the fancy stuff and you live in with the basic and you take the difference and you still lose, the debt was 10,000. You sell the whole thing of 10,000, 9,000 goes to me, the lender, 1,000 stays with him for life. So I lost. It's not a loss, it's tzedakah. Says the heilige Teire, this is tzedakah that you're mechuyev to do. The lechot tzedakah lehalech lefonov. Maybe lehalech lefonov means it's going to be a schus, I guess. Yeah, it's a merit for you in the days of awe to give that tzedakah, even if it's not exactly your favorite tzedakah. That's the godel mitzvah voice, mishalem mitzvah voice. Yes, questions. Okay, yeah, there is more room for questions as opposed to what I said before. Yeah. Thank you very much. Tomorrow don't worry. Tomorrow we're going to have a short talk about Yom Kippur. Yeah, again, 2 minutes thing. Bezos Hashem. Atzlachu bracha. Thank you very, very much to everybody. I have to check more about 2 issues about the wife, where you take the wife's bed, and also halacha lemaisa. If you do that, cash difference business. Bezos Hashem tomorrow. May we be zoiche bedin. Bezos Hashem to give tzedakah v'chesed u'tzedakah tshuva tefillah tzedakah ma'bin tzedakah zero. Have a good day. Thank you to everybody here now. Shalom, full house today, and everybody almost. And thank you to our YouTube channel subscribers and to everyone on Anytime. Thank you. Hatzloch and a great day.